Yeah, okay, time to live free. Plenty goals I'm achieving. Some real life topics and talking financial freedom. Mindset, soul and love, everything in between. This is Freedom Podcast. Tune in, live free. Hey, got my mindset right and I got the drive. Planning one day, no more job, no more 9 to 5. Love, money, mine. Love, money, mine. This is freedom. Tune in, cause it's going down. Woo!
Hi, this is Anna and welcome to another episode of Your Freedom Podcast. In this episode, I interview Catherine Nix. Catherine spent 20 years in the network marketing world whilst her children were growing up. She learnt a great deal about business. So combining her love of making things and crafts and her business knowledge that she learned in the network marketing world, she created a handmade business called My Scented Home. She's passionate about natural products and dried flower creations. And this all started when she was really wanting to earn some money for Christmas, and it's grown from strength to strength. She's a mum of 4 and has a really, really inspiring story. And I'm really, really pleased that she's given me the time to interview her today. Hey, Catherine, great to have you on the show.
Hi.
It's really good to have you here because I know we worked out recently that we've known each other years. We've been connected on social media for quite a number of years. So it's really nice to get you on the show because really the Freedom Podcast is about sharing our life stories. I believe that everybody's had some kind of challenge. Some people have had, traumatic adversity. Some people have, everyone's gone through something. Everybody that I'm talking to, whether it be, a family bereavement or something like that. And I think just by sharing our journeys and sharing our stories just really helps other people listen. Because when you're ever going through anything yourself, we feel it's only just us that is going through that kind of thing. And the Freedom Podcast, we focus on 3 pillars: freedom in love, which is around self-care and self-love; freedom in money, which is about financial freedom; and freedom in mind, because I feel that those 3 things are what has been able to sort of given me peace and equilibrium really in my life. And because there was at one point in my life where Fred in the head was really, really getting me down, as I call him. Because I think mindset, you can have like a really bad day one day and an amazing day the next. It's interesting how perception and just differences on how we look at things can just change how we perceive everything in the world, really. So it's great to have you on the show.
Thank you.
And what I really want, because I know that you have got your handmade craft business that you work really, really hard to do. And it'd be great for you to share that, because I think there's a lot of women and mums as well that listen to this podcast. So it's great to kind of, you've done something amazing from like a skill or a love of something to be able to create like products for people that are buying those online. But I know it's not been easy. I know you've had challenges along the way. So I just wanted you to share how you came to be doing this business really today. Like, how did it all start?
How did it all start? I think that's a good question. It's something I sometimes sort of ask myself, really. If I go back a bit further, I mean, my business was actually, I was a nurse by profession before my children. And one thing about nursing that I found is it's not very child friendly. So, I mean, my eldest is now 24, but when he was a baby, someone actually introduced me to network marketing. So while my 3 older children were growing up, I actually built a business in network marketing. So that sort of gave me the foundations for the business that I'm in now. But the business I'm in now really started in 2016. It was Christmas. Unfortunately, I was no longer in network marketing. I had actually called time on my marriage, and I was alone with my 4 children, and to be frank, had absolutely no money. And I needed to find a way to survive. I'll be perfectly honest, I was receiving benefits which didn't really sit particularly well with me. That what I wanted out of my life. My network marketing business had allowed me a very, very good income level. I'd worked very hard when the children were small, built up a significant income. My children had been at private school. I'd had the nice house, nice car, and suddenly I had absolutely nothing, not even a home. And I don't sort of dwell on that or be dramatic, but just to sort of context that I needed some money, and I don't know, I've always been quite crafty. I've always been able to turn my hand to most things. I remember again when George was first born, I was on maternity leave, but I saw an advert in a window. It was a dry cleaners business and they wanted people to work from home doing the repairs and the alterations. I walked in and said, I can do that. And I used to put in as, and I'd sit and put new zips and things. And so I've always been able to turn my hand to things, but having 4 children, and actually when my marriage ended, my youngest was 2, my oldest was 17. So it wasn't as easy as maybe going back to nursing. So I sat down and I just saw I had a dried chili heart that I'd bought years and years ago at a charity fair. And I don't know, I'd always had this heart with me. And I just thought, dried fruit. And I started sort of Pinteresting, eBaying, and actually bought some little wooden coasters just to make some Christmas decorations. So that was how my business started. In the autumn, I knew I could use social media to sort of say to friends, I could do an open house at home. Those are the skills I'd learned in my network marketing business. So I knew I had the outlets to be able to sell things. I knew where to find cheap events where I could have a £10 table and things, literally just to get some money. So that was how it started, and it's grown from there.
So for people who are listening to this, because I think COVID's been a really challenging time, hasn't it, for a lot of people? People have lost their jobs. I saw something actually just before I went to bed last night that one of my friends, it's one of, like when you have a friend that is not someone that you speak to regularly, it's someone in your network, really. She worked for Npower and I'd forgot that they cut like 80% of their employees, didn't they? I was going to say sales team, but actually I think it was employees. And she was sharing a picture of like the office. They'd all gone to say bye, having worked together for years. And she was sharing this on Facebook. There's a picture of like a call center with all the phones all piled up in one corner and all the kind of desks all blank. And it just looked very eerie to me. And that was like me not even being in that role. I just thought we're going through like a bit of quite a sad time, aren't we? That like sales forces or teams are being slashed and people are starting to think about doing things for themselves, I think. And for you, having gone from, like you were saying, like your children in private school, house, money, and then to nothing, for people who could be going through that right now, because that's why I kind of put this podcast together to kind of, I remember in my darkest thing, I couldn't see the light at the end of the tunnel. And I kept on going because I'm just, I am sort of an inbuilt strong person and I will keep going. But I do think you hear stories of people, taking their lives and not being able to get through those things. And it's just, I think time does help. If you just persist and find a way, there's always a solution, isn't there? And just listening to you, I think there could be people who, and also I think divorce has gone up massively because everybody has been spending so much time with their partner and they're not used to it. And because I'm in a support group for divorce and it's gone from like a few hundred people to thousands in this last year. So, there's people going through both of those things that you mentioned. What was it about you that just didn't give up? I'm sure you had low times, don't get me wrong, because we've all had, where we just burst into tears at different things. But I'm sure you've had, it's not been easy. So what would you like, what tip or what would you say to people to kind of not give up?
Yeah. I could do an entire podcast on situations where I look back now and it was really tough. And I don't want to be melodramatic, but when I think about it, it does upset me. for lots of different reasons. And it was really, really tough. You know, I remember William being little and, you know, having to go to pawn shops, and that's not funny. That was my whole day. I'd search for money in the car, you know, in the sofa, thinking of ways that I could feed my children. And I don't want to sound dramatic, because the one thing that always got me through is there are some people who would love your bad day.
Exactly.
And that was what I just drummed into myself. Some people would love my bad day. A good day was, for me, was getting all the children to bed, knowing that we were safe and that I'd been able to feed them. That my day. And there are a lot of people, you know, my children are really healthy, they're really grounded, so that for me was really positive. And I am a really positive person, and there was never really an option for me. I just had to find a way to come through everything. And so for me, it wasn't even an option. I think my mum says sometimes, you could have just sat back, said to the state, well, I've got 4 children, how much money are you going to give me every month? But that's not me. So for me, it was not an option. It was just every day find a way through to getting what I wanted out of my life, whilst also really thinking about what I wanted out of my life. Because I think when things happen, and I think the one thing I hope from COVID is that people really just take a step back and think, what are we going on the right path? Is this what I want to be doing in my life, whether it be work, whether it be relationships, whether it be finances? I want people to stop and think.
Yeah, definitely. I think that, because I think people don't, I just know people don't do things that they want to do. People do a lot of things because either, you know, social media, or just like the environment, you know, the way they've been brought up, this is what they should be doing, or they do things for money to pay the bills, don't they? Not many people do what they love. And I think my whole journey has made me realise that. Because I was one of those people, I was a people pleaser, you know, I was a people pleaser, and I also did things for financial reasons, whereas now I do things that I want to do, and it's actually just been about connections. It's like this podcast doesn't even feel like, I suppose it's not really work. I'm not monetizing it as yet, but I've just really loved doing it. It feels like I'm just going to like a coffee shop or a bar and chatting to people. So I just love focusing on things that I love to do. But I think what you said there is some great points around gratitude, because we talk about gratitude a lot. I remember before I went through all my stuff, I knew what gratitude was, and I heard people talk about gratitude journaling and things like that. But it wasn't until I was going through it that I was sort of forced to do this natural kind of gratitude thing. Because I always used to, when, you know, like you, when it was like getting through a day, but I would be saying, I'm so grateful that my children are healthy. Like that was one of the big things that it always came back to the children. We're okay. Do you know what I mean? And I felt like we were becoming closer because of the whole situation, and a tighter bond and things like that. And you probably can relate to that. But I think people listening to this who could be going through something quite bad like right now, then it's kind of thinking about those things that you're grateful for, even if it is just about, you know, I've managed to eat today, I've got a home, some of those things. You can find something on every day. And I know you can do this whole write 20 things before you go to bed or first thing in the morning, but when you're in a situation, it's more just thoughts on, you know, a few things in your head. So for people who are going through stuff, I'd encourage you, because I think, Catherine, you mentioned that, and I think it's a good point that people can do just to keep them going, you know. It's that never giving up, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's that whole thing about being happy and, you know, learning to be happy for yourself without making, how can I say it? I had to find a way to be happy with me before I could be happy again with somebody else.
Exactly, yeah.
So I decided that I had to work out what was going to make me happy and how I wanted my life to play out. And, yes, sometimes that might be not being everything to everybody, but actually being slightly selfish and doing what I wanted. I think.
Yeah, well, I think self-care is and kind of topping up your cup is important, isn't it? I think, especially when you've got children.
Yeah, and I certainly think that I spent a lot of time trying to be the perfect wife, the wife someone else wanted, the daughter that I was expected to be. And yeah, just sometimes now I think, right, I'm not going to play that game anymore. The same as I'm not going to play the stressed out mummy game. I'm just not prepared to do it anymore. I lead a very different life and I'm happy, and that to me now is the most important thing. I wouldn't go out of my way to do things that make people unhappy, but I want where I am now, and that's been through a lot of thinking about what I actually want out of life. Yeah,
I know what you mean, because I went through a similar thing. It's that people pleasing thing, isn't it? Where I used to do things that would please my parents, what people thought, because I've always been someone that people think I've done some different types of things. I know that they think, oh, you've been different. I've just not really followed the norm, and I'm quite pleased that I haven't, to be honest. So, but I think there was a time where I was doing things to please my parents or please my ex-husband, and actually you're the one that is sort of get me out of this prison cage in my mind, aren't you, really? That you should be doing things that, and you don't have to do things that would make someone unhappy, but it's actually just looking out for yourself and doing things for you. But I definitely think, when we talk about self-care, people think it's going for a massage every month. But it's actually it can just be something that you do for you every day. Whether that be, reading a book or watching a film or, doing some research on a topic you love, or just spending time with you. Or, I have this thing where I just don't feel right if I haven't had a bath on an evening. If I feel like I've really missed out, because I really go to town with bath salts, and if I'm really going to town, I've got all oils and all that kind of stuff. But it's like my wind down, it's like my time. And like we were saying before, I have been listening to Clubhouse with them. It's probably not really relaxing, but just listening to some of the rooms. In fact, there's some meditation rooms I've found, but that's kind of like my daily me time in a way. And if I feel really tired or I've had a rush day and I think I'll just have a quick shower, I just feel like afterwards I feel like I've not given myself the thing, I've not had my me time, I suppose, and it feels like I've missed out on something, which is interesting, because I got into that habit because I wasn't sleeping and I was trying to get a routine for myself to sleep better. But now I see it as like my treat, so it is quite interesting. I think it's just important to have these things for us.
Yeah, and I think that's how my business has ended up. I say I have the best job in the world because actually every day I get to do something that I love, that's totally mindful. I get so engrossed in my. So actually, I always say my work is like my therapy, really.
I'm very happy that it's listening, because obviously I know exactly what you do, but share your business and let us know what you're doing at the moment. So if anybody wants to go and check your fab products out, they can. But
well, my business is called My Scented Home. So as I say, from when I started making the Christmas decorations, obviously I'm sort of a country girl, really, and I love flowers. So the dried fruit and dried flowers seem to work very well together. So again, like I said, it was sort of therapy in a way, that I just started faffing with the flowers. I've got no formal floristry training. As I say, went from nurse to network marketer into this, and it was so relaxing and so therapeutic. But what I love about my business, so I produce home decor and gifts made from dried flowers. So I do wreaths, garlands, hand-tied, bouquets. But what it's led me into now, which I love, is giving people the opportunity to come and actually have some mindful time.
Yeah, I think that's fab.
And so I run my workshops. Pre-COVID, I was running workshops that were group events where people come and we'd have a 2-hour session making their Christmas wreath or an Easter wreath or any time during the year. and we have cake and coffee, and it's a really, really sociable time. And I get so many people sort of coming along and say, I'm only coming because my friend wants me to do this, I'm not creative, and they go away with such a beautiful finished product. And I love seeing the look on their faces that for what they've created. So that for me was great
really
to give
mindful.
people yeah, really mindful. I know if I have someone who comes in and works with me, I have a girl sometime who comes and helps, and we end up not talking because we get so engrossed in our work. And I'm taking it to the next level now of being able to offer that to corporates who want to have some team building activities. Again, remotely, we can do it via Zoom, and I now send my products in kit form out to everybody, which has been a development because of COVID, developing the kits so people can buy them and do them at home, and I shoot a video so they can watch my video. But to have a sort of corporate event where people will do a team building mindful exercise is sort of the next step, because I really think that's important for everybody. Taking downtime.
It'd be great for children as well.
I've done children's workshops, and actually I'm going to run one again, hopefully. I've got to again look at the dates and see if they marry up, because children love coming and doing it, and it's not difficult. I can cater for all ages. I think the youngest one I've had was about 5, and I did it not last Easter, the Easter before, and she made a beautiful Easter wreath with some blown eggs, and we decorated the eggs wreath, and it was great. And again, I've done some with some special needs adults, certainly like the dried fruit garlands, where it was just sequencing, and they managed really, really well. So yes, it's great for everybody.
I think it's great. I saw loads of people like sort of November, December time last year in COVID making their own wreaths, which I'd never seen before. You know, like I just had a lot of people could see that were doing it. So they're obviously all buying your kits.
Yes. Yes, it was. The kits have proved really, really popular, and I just love being able to give that to people, that they can have that.
I think it's a great idea. I love it, because I'm into that kind of stuff, but I never seem to have time for it. You know, like, so when I hear it, I'm like, oh yeah, I'd love to do that, but it's like making the time for it. And it's the sort of thing that I would do, like, you know, have a few friends over and we could do it. I love how you've got the video. I think it was a really good idea with the video. That's it's really good.
Because I think there's some people who you've got to cater for people that maybe don't read written instructions as well as actually watching somebody. So for me, it was important that someone just didn't get some impersonal, almost written instructions in a kit, but they saw me, they saw the person behind the brand. Because again, I think that's really important, and that's been sort of quite important to me, that people just haven't seen the flowers. It's Kath and her flowers. And I always say to people, you know, people like to know who's making their products, who's made their wreath. So for me, video was very important, and it took quite a lot of courage to shoot the videos, because I hate talking on camera like today. Hate it. But I knew I had to do it for other people.
And actually, I think when you do stuff like this that you don't normally do or feel a bit uncomfortable, afterwards you get a real bouncy energy of like, because you've done something that made you feel uncomfortable. I always think making yourself feel uncomfortable is good, because afterwards you feel like, yeah, I've achieved something. Whereas when we always do the same old thing, I don't know, that's just my thing. So I'm hoping that after today you feel like super, like loads of energy, that yay, I've done the podcast intro and I was on video, and I managed to look really nice on the video. So yeah, I think these kits are brilliant, and I think for people who are listening, let's make sure you send me the links, because people that are listening, we will put all the links to Catherine's kits that you can do at home. Or you could do with a group of people, or you could also buy all the wreaths already done, and we'll put the details in the show notes, in the comments, if you're listening on YouTube or you're listening on iTunes, so you can go and check that out. I think it's a fab idea, especially like you say, in the current climate we're in. being more mindful and doing stuff like that. So really, really great show. So what would you say is like your, obviously you shared your challenges, what would you say has been your proudest moment today with everything you've done?
Oh my goodness, my moment. Oh goodness.
Surviving.
Actually, you know what? Just get to this point. I look back and I think, oh my goodness, how have I got here? And yeah, I am proud of what I've created. You see, I'm just proud of the way my children have gone through the last couple of years. But I suppose if we have to define things that are visible, I mean, one thing in the autumn was I was sort of in the top 10 best-selling Christmas wreath kits in Good Housekeeping.
Oh, great.
Oh my goodness, that was a really, really proud moment to be recognised. Yes.
Yeah, brilliant. That's really good. Yeah, it is those little nuggets, things like that, where it's another, like Good Housekeeping obviously is high on our expectations. So to see yourself in there is fab.
Yeah.
I think what you say, to be creating doing the business that you're doing, your children all being fine, having gone through a bit of a challenging time, you really value those small things, like with the whole gratitude thing we're talking about. And yeah, you've survived the whole journey, haven't you, and made it really. So yeah, massive kudos.
Yeah, it's little things like it was my mum's birthday back in December, and my dad died a couple of years ago, and she wanted a fig tree. She just mentioned she wanted a fig tree like my dad used to grow, and being able to buy one for her was quite a big deal for me.
Yeah.
To be able to actually buy her a fig tree, and she didn't know, and it that chokes me, because yeah, to do things like that, to be able to afford to buy my mum a fig tree was just, that was
that's nice. That's nice.
So that was a sort of a proud moment that I could think, oh yeah, I can afford that now.
Yeah. Well, big well done for everything you've been through, because I know from what you shared, it's been a challenging time, and you know, you've come out the other side. Your children are older now. Now they can start looking after you. And I think it's quite exciting what you're doing with your products and stuff. And I know we've talked about Amazon, and I know you sell on Etsy and different other places, but do send me the links, because it'll be good for people to see it who listen to the interview. And you get a few more sales. And I always ask everybody at the end of these interviews, what does freedom mean to you? Because I think freedom means different things to different people. And there's no right or wrong answer. It's what freedom means to you, really. So what does freedom mean to you, Kath?
That's such a difficult question to answer, isn't it, really? Freedom for me is being able to do what I want when I want to do it. Well, choosing the life that I want to lead is probably it's not about having millions in the bank. It's about being able to walk my dogs in the countryside. We live in a beautiful place, so for me, one of the most important things is the freedom to be able to walk my dogs, and the freedom to wake up every day not scared's the wrong word, with a heavy burden taken off my shoulders, actually. I don't quite know how to explain that. That for me is freedom from.
And I totally get that, because that's why I call this the Freedom Podcast, because I feel that I can lock my door at night and just go to bed, in my bed it's really simple things, and it's just peaceful, you know. And I think anyone that's been through a divorce can relate to that anyway. But we've all had different levels of different things, you know. I openly talk about the abuse I had, but you know, it's nice that there was so much drama and just so much walking on eggshells that it's quite nice. I could just lock my door and just have peace, just me and my children. And that is something that I class as freedom, really. You know, so it might be touching on that you relate to, because I think anyone that's gone through a divorce can relate to that.
And the financial pressures as well, certainly, to be able to, you know, I've always been able to go for a walk with the dogs, but to go for a walk without that level of stress.
Stress, yeah.
It's freedom for me.
All that weight being lifted off your shoulders, that you can now just be able to choose the things that you want to do, and do, like you say, without that worry and burden. That's for me. I like that. That's brilliant. Thanks ever so much for coming on the show and sharing your sort of journey and sharing all the fab stuff that you're doing. I'm hoping that people listening to this that have always thought, you know, because I think sometimes people think to do crafts you've got to have got some qualification. Actually, if you're good at doing something and it's something that you love, and I love how it's like this whole mindfulness stuff, I think people should just go for it, especially at the moment, because I think more and more people need those kind of things in their life, because we need to be more mindful with everything going on in the world, don't we? So really love your share today, and thanks for sparing us the time.
No problem. Thanks.
And coming on the show. So thanks ever so much. Thank you. Thanks for listening to another episode of Your Freedom Podcast. And don't forget to subscribe on iTunes and subscribe on my YouTube channel. And if you want to get more freedom in your life, then come and join Your Freedom Project Facebook group, which the link is below in the comments section. And I am giving you a copy of my visualization manifesting book. So manifest more freedom in your life and live the life of your dreams.
Hey, thank you for listening. Hope you had a blast. Here to elevate your life. It's the Freedom Podcast. Love, money, mine. Love, money, mine. Wanna see you all win. Wanna see you all shine. Just make sure that you subscribe. Bringing good vibes. Join the Facebook group. Now it's time to change your life. Hope you come back. Right now is the chance. This is an experience. It's the Freedom Podcast. Hey.